I like it.
Hello and good evening, and welcome to The Truth
The
Behind
truth
the Truth.
behind the truth.
And man, who you telling it is? One of them days today. Hey, especially coming in for a Sunday, we would probably think it was a little bit something else going on, being a Sunday. But man, it's whew, if you hadn't found a wind to I don't know to get blown somewhere this week, I don't know what else is. Well, good evening, everyone. We want to welcome you again to the Truth Behind the Truth tonight. This is a Sunday edition. We had some other things we had to get arranged on yesterday, so we weren't able to be with you. But never fail, we're going to be here. All right. So hopefully you got the information, everything that we put out to make you aware of the show being just moved to tonight, only for tonight. Okay, that we're on the Sunday schedule. All right. So good evening, good evening once again, Charles. How you doing down there in hot Atlanta?
I'm hot. That's all I can say. I'm hot.
I certainly can
Whew.
imagine, man. We're finally getting our little taste of summer out here in the LA brand. We are finally getting it. It's coming around, a little warm. But the good thing about being in the city itself is that we don't get that direct dry heat. It's usually in the
Mhm.
valley area out here that it gets really hot. They stay 90, 95, 100, and I don't understand how people, they live in Palm Springs. And Palm Springs is always hot, but it's like been a
Mhm.
major resort area for so many people for years. You get a lot of celebrities that live in Palm Springs. But just kind
That's
of
true.
odd, huh?
That's true. That's very true.
I mean, a lot of them live in Palm Springs. That's just like, okay. Y'all love Palm Springs that much? It's just too much heat for me, at one time. But the one thing I can say about California heat is that it is mostly dry heat. You don't have the humidity that you have on the East Coast. Because I don't care where you on, Georgia is hot, but I mean, of course, Charles, you and I, we're from the Midwest, and Chicago get hot. It
Mhm.
get cold too, but I'm telling you, in that humidity getting in Chicago, baby, you think you in the oven and everything, everything else in between. Oh, we lost him. Yeah, he'll be right back. I guess he might have adjusted himself. But anyway, how are you doing, man?
I'm okay. Trying to make a day count. Make today's day count.
All right.
So just another day, but I'm okay.
Good, good, good. I am too. Like I said, it's just been a very interesting week for everything. When it comes down to that, it's just been a very interesting week. But I think it's teaching us all a lot, and I think we'll dive into that quite a bit this evening. Of course, titling these shows is navigating in America, or navigating your life in America, or navigating your relationship in America, navigating your political persuasion in America, navigating your religious persuasion in America. So we're gonna probably stay in that vein, before we go up to the point where we go on hiatus. But it's a navigating time. It really is. So, fellas, what do you want to dig in? You want to start with the debate first, or do you want to go do it, save time and go with that after the break? I think we go ahead and dig into this. It's probably gonna take two seconds to talk about that anyway. you know, but you want to start with that?
Go ahead.
All right.
Go ahead.
Okay. You ain't got to tell me twice. Woo, President Biden. Okay. Mm. Yeah, I know I love you, President Biden. I hope everybody will share this with him too. I love Mr. President Biden, but President Biden.
The
I'm gonna say it.
lesser of two evils.
Yeah, President Biden. I'm disappointed. I
Hmm.
am disappointed. Now, your policies, and things that you're trying to do, I am 100%, in that, what you're attempting to do, for America and all those things, building jobs, building the economy. I am all for that. But, bro, your presentation on the other night, you got to come better than that, and I think that meaning that you got to come better than that is I gotta be honest, I was disappointed. I was kind of expecting, and let me be clear, this don't mean I'm not not voting for Joe Biden, because I'm definitely voting for Joe Biden. Okay, I'm gonna make that clear. But I am critiquing, my president in terms of what I was expecting, and I was expecting the same man that had that fire when he did the State of the Union. I was just laying it down for that particular point in time and waiting, graciously for him, to give me that same presentation. But I don't know, Charles. Go ahead. I got a lot to say, but I'm gonna let you go ahead and bring your point in.
Well, Charles, I'm sorry. I was about to say, why didn't nobody fact check that whole entire? That's my whole entire thing. But go ahead, Charles.
No, I'm with you, darling. I think that too many times freedom of speech, I guess that's what it's called. We let people just say what they want to say without any challenge. And that's not what I think the purpose of the media is. Not just to give a platform for people to talk. It should also be a platform for us to have some truth in it. And it's not coming across like it should be. Now, I just had a debate with an old school friend of mine who's also a military guy. And he's a Trump fan. And he swears Trump did so much for the black people. And when we get to talk, he always goes, we're not going to debate and talk politics because we always get into it. But like I told him, I'm an independent. I'm not a Democrat or Republican. And I'm going to be honest with you. I left the Democrats when they did Barack the way they did. They deserted him and left him hanging out there, wouldn't support him. And I felt like it was because of his color. But I really feel that one thing that we're not, as a country, realizing is that we're all in the same freaking boat. We keep thinking that we're by ourselves and it only matters about us. But it's like, how do I put this? It's like buying a new car. You have to wonder, is it a car that gets you from A to B? Is it a car that gives you flash so that all your friends notice it? Or is it a car that's good for your pocket? It fits, it's suitable for your finances and your needs. And that's how the presidency is. We're too busy looking at a showmanship, which is what Trump is. Trump's on TV. He has that platform going. Biden is not a TV personality. I don't know why people keep thinking he's going to come out there and go, yeah. Some lady hit me up earlier and said, I wish we just had another black president. Yes, Barack spoke well. But Barack had his moments that we had to go. Even I said, yo, I understand this, but your brother, you're doing the wrong thing. You need to check yourself. And we have to remember that job carries a lot of weight. And until we understand that it's not a showmanship, it's a very responsible thing. And no matter what we say, Joe Biden, even at 81, has done so much more than Trump does. And did. Put it that way, did. And I get upset when they keep calling him president. He's not the president, he's a former president.
Thank you.
And I don't get why they don't check that a lot. It's just like they kept calling Barack Obama Barack instead of President Obama.
Right.
It's this thing. They give respect to those who don't deserve it. If Barack had an affair or outside child during the time he was elected, we'd have heard that from here to kingdom come. But let Trump have 34 indictments with even judges that he put in office. To say that he's not a good person and to say, well, I'll take him over Joe Biden 81. We don't respect our elders and the wisdom that comes along with that number. And I think that people, because you're not the best fit physically or you're not charismatic, that your mind is not sound. If you look at what he's done for the country so far, he's done a lot that has an initiative that served the middle class and below. And these days, there hardly is any middle class. So if we just sit back and stop trying to look for a showman or an MC and understand what we really need, I think we'll find that Trump is not that guy.
Well, but Trump has never been that guy. I mean, Trump has never been serious anyway. But my thing is, this country wants to make light of mediocrity. If that makes sense.
Absolutely.
We like to make light of dumb stuff, and be entertained by dumb stuff. You
better say that.
Well, it's the truth because I don't get me wrong. the black job comment, nobody has not
Oh,
really
my
taken
God.
it to the point serious
Ooh.
enough to be offended by it.
Ooh, I'm
That's
gonna let you say your point. I'm so
why
offended by it. I'm not cutting you off. I'm just,
I know you're offended by it because I'm offended by it. You know, for him to say, well, you know, immigrants are coming over here to take black jobs. Why did it have to be black jobs? Why couldn't it have been? Why couldn't it have been jobs? And the fact that after the fact, black social media making light of this type of rhetoric troubles me because that tells everybody else in this country that we don't stand on principle.
You about to make me scream.
We don't stand on nothing. The NAACP ain't said nothing. Nobody has said nothing, and that troubles me. If it would have been somebody else's community, Trump would have never heard the end of it.
That's true.
That's why other people have stuff happening for them, and we always complain that nothing is happening for us because we do not stand on principle. That black job comment was so offensive to me. Why me? I think Trump's worldview about black people is being in servitude. Washing my floors, cleaning my clothes, flipping my burgers. Those are black jobs that he was thinking or talking about. And the fact that not only Trump mentioned it, but Biden even went along with it.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
See, that's the problem with that is the problem with our community. We're not standing on what is right and what is best for us. And the fact is that people can say what they want to say about us, and we don't check them on that. That tells everybody else that we are. Hey, they ain't got nothing. We can say whatever we want to say. It ain't nothing to it to do it nowadays.
Go ahead, Charles. I'm gonna lay into this.
Pastor Dowling, can I take the collection plate and throw a 5 in there right quick? Can I throw a 5 in that plate? Okay. Let me just say this. I am totally with you. We are responsible for our own community. We keep putting the burden on the politicians and everybody. All these people who stand up at these town hall meetings and say, what you ain't doing, what are you doing? I say this every week we get together. What are you doing? What are you contributing to what are the causes and the dysfunction in our neighborhoods? Why aren't you out there talking to these young guys who see that not snitching because you robbed my house or killed my son or raped my daughter, and I have to shut up because it's our community? That bugs me to the hilt. I don't understand why we're not accountable for our own neighborhoods. We look at these, I call them pimps in the pulpit, who sit around, collect money every Sunday and get tax deductions and don't do anything for our neighborhoods. And just like the NAACP, they collect all these funds and they're not out there participating like they should be. So SCLC, you name them. All these places, that Black Lives Matter, all of these folks out here with a title and collecting money and not contributing to the community at all. They're out here doing their thing, looking for their recognition and their, their legacy, but they're not worried about the neighborhood. They talk that talk, but they don't walk the walk. And that is so dysfunctional. And it bothers me to the fact that how do I feel so disappointed in my own community that I don't even have to look at the politicians? A politician, it's like looking at the neighborhood dad. We're looking at the neighborhood dad to fix my bike or to help me do my homework or whatever. But what about my dad? When does my dad step in and do his part? We're so busy worried about everyone else. When do we step in our own homes? We don't look in our own homes. My mom always says, you point one finger at somebody else, them other 3 point right back at you. When do you notice that? And stop. Michael said it best. Talk to that man in the mirror first before you tell him to change his ways before you tell somebody else. And we don't stand accountable. Accountability is the thing that's missing in our community. It's so relevant and it's not being stood on enough.
Perfect point. We're gonna go to break because if I get on my point, I'm gonna be a minute. So we gonna come back and I'm gonna come back with my point on about what we just talked about because it's a mess. We'll be right back, guys, right here on The Truth Behind the Truth. All right, and we are back, guys. Again, thank you so much for tuning into The Truth Behind the Truth of the Night. How are you navigating your life in America? Now, we're in the political realm of navigating right now. So we left off, and the disappointing comments that came from the both of them, the other night. Because it was like all of a sudden this synergy, and I don't mean good synergy, came between them, and they found a point of agreement. When them man,
they found golf as a common agreement.
Yeah, exactly. Common agreement after you've insulted the African American community. Now,
no, not African American community. The
black
community.
The black community.
When you see, that's the one thing Trump got it right. Code word. He knew to say black instead of African American, because when you say African American, you are putting in not just one sector of the diaspora. You're talking about Africans too.
Wow.
White Africans, everything. Yeah.
He's talking about black Americans, descendants of slaves.
Right.
He was right in who he was targeting.
Right.
Because he got black folks in his back corner telling him who to talk to
and who not talk to. Yeah, you're
but
right.
Keep going.
So and I think I was at work when this debate was going, and I was listening to it, and I was like, and all of a sudden I kept hearing that the immigrants were taking black jobs. I said, what the flip? What the flack and fluff did you just say? And then they both agreed upon it. I said, so what you're saying is that all of the lower profitability jobs, I'm being nice, okay, are centered out for the black community. So that means that you're not going to have CEOs and executives. You're never going to be on Wall Street. You're never going to run a bank. Okay, you're never going to be at a Fortune 500 company because you're not thought of in that category. No. But guess what? You'll be a shift manager at GD McDonald's, and that's as high as you have the capabilities of going. Working in fast food, working in the backyard, in the back of Home Depot, and the list can go on. I said, "Are you seriously saying this to me?"
But I had a Trump supporter, a black Trump supporter. A black Trump supporter told me we should know what he meant. It didn't mean all that. It meant all black jobs. And I'm like, man, get off of that. Don't feed me that.
Oh my God. I'm telling you, if I could have jumped up on that stage, I probably would have took both of their heads and slammed them together and asked them, what is wrong with that? This is, understand me, my Caucasian community, because y'all know, hey, we love y'all. Okay, but this is a very offensive moment, and we got to deal with it from this. And maybe as we're dealing with it, you could hear the disappointment that we're experiencing in this conversation that went on. So this is not racial, but it was racially pushed by two people that claim that they're supporting the community. Now, why is it all of a sudden we get important when you want the vote? Okay, but it wasn't important enough to make sure that the adequate jobs were put out there. And we had to be referred to as the low end. And I'm not saying people that work at McDonald's are low end people. But at the end of the day,
a job is a job,
right? Okay,
that's what
exactly. Yeah. And I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is that particular blue collar job that's considered is just this is just set apart because black people can't do anything better. And that's the way I heard that, and that's the way you meant it, and that's the way you meant to say it. Okay, because I am very smart, I am educated, and I know what I hear, and I know what you meant by when you said it. So hold on, I'm sorry, but my point is that black people, you need to stand up for this shit, okay? And you need to stop, and you need to put your foot down. You need to come out of the four walls of that church and quit praying and get to work, okay? Because the praying ain't gonna get you to get this country. I ain't gonna get this country to change. But let me say one other point. My last one point.
I got something to say too. Finish it.
So you need to take the adjustment. Okay, I said this about June messed up teams as well. If you want to represent a movement of something, then your movement should be a movement of elevation and not stagnation. Okay, because right now you went from Juneteenth to stagnation. Okay, and nothing about that holiday is representing elevation. Okay, I gave you a plan on how we can elevate about it. I won't get into that because it's not about Juneteenth. But if you want to know, you can tell me, and I'll tell you on another show, or you can go back and watch the other one. Go ahead with your point.
But to be honest with you, the fact is that now I'm just saying, my thing is, why are we as black voters being misled?
Right.
Just like this, you might have heard of this, Charles, the Rocky Barbershop. Did you hear about that story?
Yeah.
About the man who had who thought that he was going to hold this meeting for black small businesses and stuff, and all of a sudden you know, all of the Republican black donors came to his barbershop, and Trump spoke on the phone talking about because of his felon picture that he has garnered the black support. See, that's how low this man thinks of black people. Yeah. We are all felons. We all have a rap. We you know, and I just thought about this when Obama was president. You know, he had this situation with the birther. You know, he did the birther you know, organization, whatever you want to call it. And the saddest thing about that situation was that he could never see a black man as president in his lifetime. So he thought of a plan to make sure that this man was not legitimate as president.
Try to make him
to try him make him look illegitimate.
Right.
Yeah.
And that is very troubling to me for those black supporters who want to support a man who thinks of their existence as being illegitimate in higher places. Because to him, he couldn't have seen a black man as president or CEO or anybody. He would love to take their money. Now, that's one thing that he loves, because he loves black money, but he does not like black people in higher positions. And that is a problem with me. But the fact is that we don't see it. We think it's all a big joke.
This is I'm gonna be, as I say, I'm gonna play devil advocate, and this probably won't go over well with a lot of black folks, but I'm so tired of black people. How do I put this? Gravitating and accepting negativity. We follow the mafia like they are our best friends. The mafia can't stand black folks, but we want to be part of the mafia. We want to be that secrecy. We want to have that same thing. We want to do everything that's not good for us. We want to embrace the word nigga and the N-word. We want to give it power. You're not giving it power. You're giving it power for everyone else. You're not making it any less offensive than it is.
Else is saying it.
Right. Yes, exactly.
Everybody else is saying it.
We're not snitching. Why? In our own community, they're robbing our kids. They're selling drugs to our kids. They're killing our folks, and we're not snitching. Why? Because we don't want the white man to come in and have something to say. I'm an independent for a purpose. I went independent when I realized that when Obama tried to do Affordable Care Act right off the bat, every white person in the Democratic Party went, no, not now. And that was the one thing that was going to actually benefit the black community. They didn't want that to happen because they was like, we've been fighting for years to get this Affordable Care Act gone, and now a black man comes in, he's just going to step in and get it done? Oh, no, we can't do that right now.
Not
wait till your next term.
But all community.
And that's the other part. It didn't just benefit us, but because it benefited us, we have to hold back. We can't do it because it helps our votes rise to the top. And the one thing that bothers me the most is our black community is so quick to suck up to the negativity things. They love Trump. Why? Because Trump keep it real. I don't care if he keeps it real that he's a racist. The exonerated 5, where they was talking about lynching them. Them guys were innocent. They spent years in prison for something they didn't even do. And Trump put out 4-page ads and put money behind keeping them guys in there and trying to get them hung because he felt they were dirty. Why? Because they were black. Not because they were guilty, but because they were black. And I don't understand how people seem to push that away and think that's so good. That's not the way this works. And then I get caught up in, and I hate to go switch gears, I get caught up in this the Republicans were against slavery. Man, yes, all the original blacks were in Republicans, but the Democrats, who were the original slave owners, took over the Republican Party because they couldn't stand the fact of black people having a party.
Right.
So they moved over and erased the Dixiecrats, took over the Republican Party, which is the same racists that were the Democrats who emboldened slavery. And then black people keep going, the Democrats were slave owners.
Because of Lyndon B. Johnson, number one.
Oh, that's another one.
Lyndon B. Johnson was the reason why there was a switch over and policies, because of all of the bills that were passed in the 60s that guaranteed African Americans their full citizenship.
Yep.
We didn't get full citizenship until 1968, 70.
No. And just like Lincoln, he wouldn't have done it if it wasn't for the better of the country. If it wasn't for the better of the country, he would have never done it. Lincoln did the same thing. He only did participate in trying to end slavery because he felt like it was tearing the country apart. He didn't give a damn about us. He was just worried about the country and the economic value that we were adding to the country. And if you took the power, didn't give us something and bartered with us, we would lose to everything. And he even said, if it wasn't for the fact it was for the better of the country, I never would end slavery. Read it. It's out there on the doggone monument, the Lincoln Monument. It says all that.
Is in Liberia.
Yeah.
Why is that even existed? Liberia is where we were supposed to go after slavery. Wow. We were supposed to ship on boats to Liberia. Wow.
And Liberians are on the internet bumping up Trump. They're out here saying they're Americans because they're black, and they're saying they're blacks voting for Trump, but they're in Liberia. And they're only doing that because nobody wants America to succeed. And until we realize when one of us gains, we all gain. When one of us falls, we all fall. This is not a black-white thing. It's a collective. And unless we all realize we're here together, we're going to all sink together.
Right. Well, you know what? Sometimes some people are going to have to fall on their own shore because you know what? I go back as far as 1933, and I told you about this last night. This Jewish German woman said that Hitler was the greatest thing to have ever happened. I've heard as that. The national thing for Germany of that time. And this was a German Jewish woman. And you know, most Jews at that time, especially those who lived in Germany, thought they were Germans first.
Yeah, because of the money.
The mindset is African Americans are blacks. We believe that we're Americans first. That has never been the case or the agenda with our. So sorry to those whites who don't believe in this, but you have people like Steve Bannon who got Project 2025. Now it's out. It's out.
Yeah.
He put it,
and black folks won't read it.
He lifted up the binder in an interview and said this will be the focus once Trump gets back in. And that book and that project guarantees us that we will not be Americans. We will be second class.
Look at everyone supporting it. Look at all the organizations supporting it. They're all the organizations that don't believe in equality throughout the country. They don't believe in African American history. They don't believe in actually sexual or even equality amongst anyone. It's all got to be white male dominant. Everything has to be according to white male, and that's not how this country was. At least, as they say, the dream was built. It's not even the way the principles were put together. It said us as a country as a whole. And until people actually realize, until we realize there's nowhere else to go but here, we're not going to survive. We're building it. I'm so scared for my grandsons. I'm so scared for them. They're going to have a world so jacked up. But my grandsons have less rights now than my grandparents had after slavery.
And your granddaughters will too.
Yeah.
And let me give you this. To some of our other diverse communities, I would hate to put the Asian Americans out there, but y'all are pawns to this game. Because they have used that community as a way of getting rid of the what was it, the remember the I'm trying to get it out. Remember the college situation. Remember where they were just letting supposedly affirmative action, but they were letting supposedly
diversity in that.
Get into these high-ranking schools because they were just black. You know, the thing about that is a lot of these communities, the Indians, the Asians, they don't understand this ball game that they're playing. Now, it's great to make investments and build businesses and to build community around these businesses. But to be honest with you, when it ties into business, politics plays a big part.
Yeah.
And if you're not in understanding of the system, forget about the investments and the business and the money. Because we have figured out in the past that don't mean a hill of beans. We had Tulsa massacre showed that, didn't it? Right. We as black
Colombian,
built
Dominican,
Wall Street,
and Israeli. What's the other ones? They're Puerto Rican. All those people feel like because they're light, they're white, and that's not how that works. Yeah. They're only pulling you in because they need your power and your vote to do what they're doing. And all these doggone Cubans who left Cuba who think that America's the great salvation and they're going with the white folks because they feel like that empowers them. You're doing what they did in Cuba to you. You're empowering people who are trying to do a collective dictatorship and don't care about everyone. Diversity and inclusion means just what it says. Diversity and inclusion. Not separatists, not a superior race, none of that stuff. And we get too caught up. And I say this every I've been saying this since I was like 20. We worried about the wrong damn thing.
Yeah.
And that's a shame.
Yeah. You're saying diversity and inclusion. See, it's a great theory, and I love the idea. But see, what happens is that it becomes it's become a kind of like a club. So we the only inclusion is the one we want to include. Okay, because anybody else, it can be diversity that's not part of what we want in this particular group of people. So it's more or less inclusion to exclude. To exclude from that particular point. This is just wild.
It's upsetting.
It is.
Upsetting.
And let me say again to our audience that are tuned in, and I see some friends of mine that are out on. Thank you for tuning in tonight. And again, we're talking about diverse conversation and understand that. Let me say to my white people, okay, my white friends, okay. Hey, you know what? I don't like to call you by race or whatever the case may be, but let me just kind of say this to you real quick, and from a deep place. Number one, I love you. I know he loves you. I know that Charles loves you, and there's no animosity, okay, that ever comes from our conversation that we're having about situations like this. Now, but here's the great point. If you recognize and understand that this type of impact is happening in a community where you are connected to because you have friends, okay, because you work with, because of people of different color that come to your home and they do all of the other things, that maybe you have biracial families and whatever the case may be. Here's the one thing that you can do is to stand for the truth behind the truth. Okay, this is where you can start bridging that gap. Not to say that African American Black people need that, but guess what? You can be a big supporter of it. All right, you can be a big supporter of the whole idea of a true movement, okay, of change, okay, that we need, as Charles spoke about, in society. Because if we don't change together, we ain't gonna change at all. Okay, so it ain't gonna trust and believe that now the other sector of the white people that hopefully you'll pass this, and you'll skip through stuff. You ain't gonna get what you think you're gonna get. Okay, it may look like you're winning right now. Okay, but in the end, baby, the first that you think is first will be last. Okay,
the rich Jews thought they were winning over in Germany, and it turned out because they had the rich Jews thought having money and being able to work with Hitler and put their people in bondage because they had money and they had prestige, that they won't touch them. As soon as he got rid of the lower economic levels, he jumped right on them, took them. Different. They were like, huh? But I thought we were helping. He's like, oh, different. You're just the ones with money. And you move that along, it becomes not only race, it becomes class. And that's the problem we have with folks today. We keep thinking that we're better than someone else, but all those folks on that lower level of the economic ladder are all included. You may be white and you may think that makes you different, but you're just like everyone else because you don't have the money. You don't have the empowerment. Our Congress and our Senate both tell themselves a raise every freaking year. They don't ever tell themselves they can't have a raise, but they'll tell us in a minute, raise Social Security level. Yeah, every year.
We don't stand. Listen, go back to what I just said. We don't stand on principle. We don't. That's why they are able to do what they've been doing for many, many years. And going back to what you were saying about the situation in Germany, what was also so sad? A lot of the vets of World War I who had received the Iron Cross that were Jewish thought they couldn't have been touched. And that's to be honest with you, it doesn't matter with those who hate you what you have done. And the black soldiers in World War I. The vets, they were lynched when they got back from Europe. They were all lynched because they had their uniforms still on. They couldn't travel through the South with those uniforms on.
Even with the contribution.
It doesn't matter anymore. And those African American, those blacks who are industrialists, CEOs who have billionaire status right now, they are just as low grade, vulnerable.
Let's go.
We're gonna go to break, but
we got a quick break. We're gonna come back, pick it up right where you were when we come right from back. We'll be right back with more truth behind the truth, navigating your life in America. All right, and we are back, guys. Thank you again for tuning into The Truth Behind Truth. Want to give a quick shout out to our, I think the ones that I have seen that are joining the show, like coming from on my page. I have my cousins out there watching. Thank you, Pam, for taking the time out there. Alfred is watching, and who else we got? We got Greg was watching. We had Star was watching. So thank you guys for taking the time. I hope that you are still participating in the show. And we do want to hear from you, okay? Conversation may be kind of hard and direct, but it's okay because we are here to elevate and learn from one another, all right? And if we are saying something incorrectly, if we need to be stand corrected, please put it in the comments. We'd love to hear it. But most of the time, I think we're pretty right. But anyway, right on here with you,
But you know, I'm afraid that the Heritage Foundation, once if he gets back in, hey, we're cooked. I mean, if you thought you were not free today, or you're not free right now, put your seatbelt on because they have a plan, and the plan is to make everything states' rights. All of the power is going back into the states. Forget about the federal government. Forget about federal protections. I mean, this is what Steve Bannon talked about. He and people like to gloss over him like, well, this, he is not that important. Yes, he is important because Trump has used his words in his speeches. Yeah. But Trump,
that man else,
he is crazy. But Trump is going to give the states back their power, which means is forget about everything that, forget about it. It's going to be back when it was what Billie Holiday said, a song about strange fruit.
Oh God. No.
Yep.
I'm just saying that is coming.
Nina Simone. Yeah, Nina Simone did strange fruit. Yeah. Let me just say this one point. When we talk about we has no sexual orientation. We has no religious belief. We has no financial boundary. Right. We are a collective. So when we say we, this means everyone. There should be no distinction, no separation, no denigration between everything. Sexual, religion, financial, everything is we. When we did this experiment called America, it was because they left a country that did denigration of religion and class, and they came here with a dream. That dream was to make sure that we have the freedoms to live as we want to live without harming others. And we keep forgetting that dream, even though it's an experiment, can't flourish unless we all understand that we all have to have our collective understandings of each other. We can't just go, I don't like you, so they don't. That is not the purpose of a democratic or democracy. The purpose of a democracy is so that we all have the self-discipline and the freedoms to do as we feel comfortable without harming others. That's the whole thing in a nutshell.
Absolutely. I mean, it's what we have, and we got to move on. But we've grown to this place, and I always ponder how we got to the place of such selfishness. See, there's a part of selfishness that's very good, okay? So, but it's a part of that you grow into yourself to be better for humanity, okay? That is great selfishness, because you become selfish to be selfless, okay? But that's a whole other story. I don't want time to get into that because philosophically speaking, and sometimes the audience don't understand philosophical words. Because if they had a philosophical people, we would probably having this conversation we're having right now tonight. But anyway, we got to move on.
Well, I got this one thing to say about Miss Dana Bash. For a woman to be at that forum and not want to fact check the very man that's going to take away your rights as a woman, your rights to your body.
They slammed them too.
Then I feel bad for her because she's looking stupid right now because as a woman who will want full protection over her body and full power over her body, not to sit there and fact check the very man who has taken away your very rights.
That's right.
I'm looking at her like you're crazy, but you just
sad to say. But CNN has no cojones, none. Right. They've never had any cojones, none. They've sadly floated into the abyss because they have no standards, no self-respect. They let everything go without any type of. And I'm a serious when I say this. We should never put anything on TV that can't be fact checked. There should be no reason we just spew propaganda or anything without fact checking it and making sure that people understand. That's why they call it the idiot box, because we don't do anything to make people understand what the facts are, what's true. I miss Tim Russell so bad. Tim Russell off of Meet the Press, he used to put Democrats and Republicans on fire. You tell me the truth. Don't BS me. Don't BS me. Give me the right stuff. And when he died, man, they broke my heart, because he was one of the few. They held them accountable no matter what the party affiliation was. You're going to either tell me the truth, or I'm going to check you and let you and put you on blast to everybody is watching.
And
none of them do that anymore.
Well, let's just put this out there in the air. If you are on Medicare and you support Trump, let me read this to you. Project 2025 wants to end Medicare as we know it, and they and other MAGA Republicans want to gut Medicaid and restrict access to affordable health care. They also, the plan is to privatize completely everything. So if you support this man, thank you. Thank you. Privatize completely everything of every department within these United States of America. And I'm just saying, if this is what you support and you're on those types of situations,
you know, and thank you for bringing. I mean, here's the thing: you guys need to, you know, to get on the internet, pull up Project 2025. You'll find all the answers of everything that we're talking about right now. It's all spelled out for you. Okay, now if you don't do the research and you can't sit and say, "Well, True Behind Truth was putting false information out there," no, it's already been fact checked. Okay, and
student vouchers, student vouchers, same thing.
Exactly.
Student vouchers only do a small percentage of kids. We got all these other kids that they get, so we're gonna give a few kids an education and bump the rest of them. And student vouchers get to do what they want to do in those privatized schools because the money goes to them. Put the money into public schools and make them do what they're supposed to do. Stop trying to take a small section and give them the money and let them do it. Giving a student voucher doesn't mean anything. You're gonna go to another school. What about the kids who can't go to that school? And it's like a lottery. So I get lucky and I get a good education. Those who don't win the lottery don't get anything.
One more thing, and I gotta read this to y'all. Research shows that mandating work requirements only fuels racial inequality given the discrimination against Black Americans that exists in the low-wage market. Compared with white Americans, Black Americans are about half as likely to be called back for an entry-level job, meaning that they'll be disproportionately burdened by work requirements. Plus, reforms to Medicaid and other social safety net programs have been long tied to stereotypes that portray Black Americans as lazy or scheming. Recall the welfare queen trope of the 1970s. And it's also said that Project 2025 wants to roll back several Biden-Harris administration education policies that help Black Americans achieve equal opportunity, including student debt relief and the Title I program.
Social Security. You put money into, so how's it breaking the country when you put the money in there? That kills me. How you tell me the Social Security is killing you when we putting the money in there? How's it killing you? We're paying for Social Security. How do you say it doesn't work feasibly? Because this is like the post office. Congress took over the post office. Post office is working fine. They decided to say, well, if you're going to do retirement, you have to have the money in the bank already. Who has that kind of money already? That's not available.
Well, one thing for sure, if you believe in public education, it's gone after November. It's gone.
Well, let's just not.
It's gone. Forget about it.
That extra energy. Okay,
it's privatized education all the way around. I mean, it's gone now.
Like I've said, okay, if you hadn't started, you better start now. Get your passport ID done. Get all that in order. Start applying. So it's gonna take you probably the rest of the end of the year to get it. Okay, but get your passport, get your exit strategy plan, and get the hell out of here. Okay, if that man get it off. All right, we're gonna move on.
Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but there's nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. You can go wherever you want to go. It ain't gonna change. The UK is just as racist and just as segregated as the United States. Israeli don't like dark people either, because they tell their dark. They don't even call them blacks. They call them something else, but they don't even take care of their black folks. Every country that has, even Puerto Rico, dark people are not accepted in none of these countries. So no matter where you run, Ghana has a great economy that's moving great. Yeah, but how long is that going to last? Till they come get that and tear that up. But Nigeria, all of Libya, all of them.
We
listen. We can talk about this.
We got to go on. We got to go on. We'll say this for next show. We got to go on.
Go ahead.
But but you've heard what we said tonight, guys. I mean, literally, you've really heard what we said in the impactful point about that. So staying in this same vein, okay, we were just doing some research the other day, and Charles knows some of my opinion about it. Y'all know my opinion about it, how I felt about it, and it just goes right in sync. Is this hip hop community? Okay, tonight they're celebrating the BET Awards, but we'll get into that just in a moment. But it's kind of in the same sector here. Okay, I'm gonna tell y'all. All right, I'm gonna say it one more time. Cardi B, Nasty B, whatever, Nasty Red, whatever that Megan Thee Stallion and all of the rest of them, and every nasty ass man that has degraded women through music. Okay, y'all need to stop the shit. Okay, this is why this man can come in and tell you that your black jobs is being taken over by immigrants coming in. This is why they feel like they have the leeway to say all of the things that they're saying to you and about you, because you're saying it about yourself. Okay, you're calling yourself that low. You're saying that you're the lower low. You're saying that your women are the lowest sexual form, that she needs to be called a bitch, a hoe, and a slut. Really? The mother of your children, she's a bitch, a hoe, and a slut. Because that's what you call her. Okay. You want her to turn around and twerk her ass in front of you. Okay, to get what you feel is your get off moment. You need to get yourself off into some books and learn something better. Okay, and educate.
Now let me give you that devil's advocate, because this is the purpose of America. You are supposed to be able to do what you want. I can't discriminate or down Megan or Sexy Red or any of them for doing what they do, because that is the premise of America, to do what you do without harming others. Now, if you don't like it, as they say, you can always turn the channel or don't watch. You don't dog people for doing what they do. That's like looking at the Iranians and the rest of them and saying, well, they do religious, you can't do it. Well, the hell, America just put the damn 10 commandments up in every school. You can't dog other people for doing what they do when you do the same. This is the purpose of the dream of the experiment of democracy. Megan Thee Stallion want to shake her ass and say she a hoe. She has that right. So does Sexy Red. Don't dog people for doing what they want to do, because that's what they want for themselves. They ain't not talking about nobody else. They're talking about themselves. Let them be who they are for them. Now, as far as my kids, no.
I fully agree with you. Okay, hold on. Let me hold on. I fully understand what you're saying. Okay, and get that, and then stifling of that, and that could go into a whole many different. But my point is that I get it. But what has happened is that it has diverted the idea of a representation of a community of people that is not like that. That is not the way that you were raised. Now, I get it. There are a few small amounts of people that like, but what has happened has become the most forefront propaganda of saying this is the community of black people, and that's the part that I can't stand. Now they can say what they want to say as long as it's about them, but don't be representing or saying the collective is this type of people.
Culture,
and that is the culture, and it's the brand of the culture. Because I got granddaughters, okay, and I will be damned if I will allow them to shake and twerk their ass in front of somebody.
That's the key. That's their culture. We need to cut our kids. We need to be responsible for our kids. Stop blaming everybody else for what our kids do. You're not at home making sure your kids don't twerk. You're not talking about the music your kids listen to. You're not giving them the discussion they need about sex. You can't blame Megan and everybody else for what your kids do. You are responsible for your children.
I get it.
Stop saying everybody else is responsible for your children. You are.
It's too late. It's too late. The whole thing, what you were trying to demand, is too late. Because I go back to what we have said, what I have said in the beginning. If you don't stand on principle, if you don't stand on code, that's my whole point. A cultural code, that's the problem with our situation when it boils down to the music that we listen to and the rhetoric. The rhetoric that we speak on. You have to have a code to stand on and a principle to stand on.
You do.
That's why you will never see people outside of what we have going on doing what we are doing. Because the one thing I cannot stand about our community is that we're too performative with our situations. We don't ever. Oh my
God! Thank you.
We're too performative.
That's what I'm saying.
And then on top of that, we don't have the wherewithal to denounce, because every time
it's right here.
Well, listen, we don't have the luxury of being individuals, because if Sexy Red does that, we all do it. If LL Cool J goes out and say this or do this, then we all do it. And that is my own problem. That is the issue. But it's too late, because what has happened to NAACP, and none of these people have put demands on the artists or on the artistry of the music that we perform. Until I don't know what's going to happen. I know one thing. I listen to my watercolors, like you say, Charles. I do change the station. I go to my watercolors jazz because if I listen to all of that is going on this new music on these new music channels, I'll be angry all day and all night. I have to listen to something that's going to put me at peace and have me go to sleep with peace on my mind, because if I can't listen to Sexy Red and all of that, that's degenerate music, and we all know those are industry plants. Those are not real musicians. Those are industry plants to corrupt a whole community of people doing what they think is best.
My point about that is that when you know that, and it's true, I get it. I get all of the somatic reasons, that it's. But here's the thing: when you have the leaders in the community that allow that to be filtered in,
like Al Sharpton.
I get what you're saying, Charles. Now, understand that the freedom of speech, in what happens to that, and we do have the rights of the choice that we do, but at the same time, there is educational pieces that these community families and parents and all of these other things that are allowing this. When you feel it's okay, let me use it as an example. When you feel it's okay to invite Nasty Red to a high school, what is it? Middle school. And invite her to come to speak to kids in a and oh my God, I can't even say it because I was so disgusted when it happened. And then she gets up and then she makes that somehow it didn't happen. She gets on top of the bus, start cussing out the kids and twerking, because it didn't happen while she wasting her GD time and all this stuff that went on. Okay. But what I'm saying is that this is ridiculous. And what do we do? Okay. Like you said, Charles, that's their artistry. That's what they've been given an opportunity to do. I get it. Just like, people say, well, I go to church and I hear all this, and all this other type of things. But as a group of people, as this wonderful diaspora of people who we are, where are we losing it? And they don't understand we have lost it.
We lost it when Al Sharpton called Whitney Houston Whitey Houston. That's when we lost it. We lost it when he called Miss Whitney Houston, the greatest voice of our time, Whitey Houston, because she sounded white. That's when we had lost. That's when we start losing our minds. Because we didn't celebrate greatness then.
Well, remember this, though. Remember this. And this is not a, how do I put this? This is not a dispersion on any other diverse ethnicity, belief, principle, or anything. There was a time when even homosexuality was saying, why are we putting this out there? There was a time when interracial marriage was saying, why are we putting this out in front of everybody? This is why I keep saying we can't keep pointing at other people for what happens. We need to be accountable for our own homes. If you don't want homosexuality, you don't want interracial marriage, you don't want sexuality in your home is your home. Stop saying everybody else is making your home the way it is. You need to stand up for your home. This is where we lose it. We keep pointing at everybody else, but we got to be accountable for ourselves.
I'm totally with you, and I talk about accountability and responsibility all the time. And I agree with you. It's what we allow in our space. But it's like he says now, where is the code of saying that this cannot be in our space for these reasons? And this is the thing what I'm talking about. And
you don't have cultural code.
Right. But what happens is that because you don't have cultural code, everything becomes acceptable when it shouldn't. Everything be acceptable.
That's
like you said, we can't. We don't want to judge the culture of the gay community. We don't want to judge the culture of the trans community. I mean, we can sit here and dissect every part of it because I got my own situations about that too.
Well, I have a problem with black men. Black men wanting to be the fetishes and the black.
That's a whole other conversation.
Well, that's the objects of everybody else in the world.
Fantasy. I mean,
why can't we just be who we are instead of being the fetish of somebody else?
Somebody put that out there long time ago. I'm sure somebody.
I just don't want to be only known for my big black. I have other things going on.
My goodness. Okay. Okay.
The world is
look, okay. I told you guys in the conversation before. I was on Instagram a couple of weeks ago, and here it is, biggest day. Does your man take care of you if he's big or small? Basically, why are you having a conversation like this on Instagram? Why is that a dialogue between? Well, okay, and I put my comment out there on him, and I said, "This is a pointless, ended conversation." Okay, and I wanted to hear what they had to say. So then someone came to me, "Oh, you must be in the small category." I said, "Baby, if you only knew." All right. So that was my response. Okay. But then the other thing was like, well, a lot of them agree. Yeah, to this point, I said, because here's the thing. You guys have got time to sit on here and dialogue about men's genital sizes. Okay. But then you're about to lose your whole right as a person, as a woman in this country.
Yep.
Okay. Where is
true.
your understanding of this? This is a pointless conversation to be having this one. What you should be talking about is how to band together, okay, and stick together and not worry about your man's size. All right. Yeah, if you got a man with big, okay, be happy. If he's small, be happy. Just ask him to do something else. All right. Then, or buy you a friend and let him jiggle you the way you need to be jiggled. Okay.
It's always a rabbit.
You got a lot of friends you can pay, and they do the job, but you didn't do the job. Okay. It's not a conversation that you need to be having on social media about situations like that where we just talked about Trump and Biden both telling you that your blackness is not worthiness at all. They told you that. All right. But you want to talk about the man said. But anyway, yeah, I know, right? But we just got a couple minutes. So I really we were talking about hip hop, but then this also. So the BET Awards of the night, which I am just thoroughly disgusted with BET Awards, because it was at one time it was the representation of the excellence of what came through, black music. Now it is just the same thing that we talk about in the beginning. You've got the one that I mentioned earlier. I'm gonna mention the name again. It's opening up the show, and I'm like, why? I know why, but I'm asking, I know why. You know what I'm saying? I know, right? I know why. Okay, but I don't understand why, and I want y'all to understand why we are at this point, because what has happened is that you have allowed something that, in my opinion, has degraded a community. Okay, from where it was proving and pushing for great excellence, we push for garbage, we push for trash, and we make trash be the acceptable norm. Okay, that's the acceptable norm, not anything else. But go ahead, we got to wrap it up.
Farrakhan did say that Kendrick Lamar will free the hip hop community.
Oh Lord.
Well, that's what Farrakhan said. But you know one thing, I will say this. Nina Simone said this: to be an artist, you need to be the artist of the times. You need to be an artist of your time. You need to be the messenger of what's going on in your world. And
my God, why? Why can't that happen? Why?
And the problem is, especially within the African American music, everybody wants to be a sex fiend, and nobody needs to have that much sex. We are more than just, like I say, a fetish, and that's our problem within the community. We want to be somebody's fetish. I think that's the problem. We have lost focus on what is so important and what is needed within our community. There was a moment in our music where we were focused, and that was during the 60s.
70s.
And the 70s. The 60s was a time period of us trying to understand our blackness. But the saddest thing about it now is all about that green money. So we got industry plants. But hey, what I'm supposed to listen.
That is honestly, I think the wrap of the wrap of the evening, the wrap up point of the evening, what you said, because after all we have discussed today, and we've been focusing on the African American community, black community, whatever, a lot of our conversations, because we want to send a clear message out that y'all need to wake the fuck up, okay, and
cream.
Exactly.
Cash rules everything around me. Cream.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it is.
So what has happened, and it's the saying that people mostly misquote, but in this case, it's been quoted the right way, and it represents everything we talked about today is money. All right, the inroad of saying that money, and scripturally speaking, and people quote it all the wrong time, is that money is the root of all evil. Money is not the root of all evil. Okay, the love of money is the root of all evil.
So get your 30 pieces of silver.
Okay, good. So if the money is the root of all evil, then you have to look at what is coming through that in the aspect of how money is being portrayed in front of you. Okay, we just saw during the debate how money was portrayed in front of us. Okay,
yeah, your black job.
Well,
your black job.
Let me finish the wrap up here. Okay, but it is, and then at the same time, it's been perpetuated out there into you that has shown you that your worthiness is just as low as the opportunity that the money that you run after. Okay, you should never be running after money. You should be running after you. All right, and if money is not running after you, meaning that you have a relationship with that money, that's a whole other teaching. Okay, but if you don't have a relationship with money, you need to check yourself. All right, because you are chasing something that is taking you down, and people are set in place to take you down because of the root of the love of money, and it interjects all kind of.
And let me just say one thing. Truth behind the truth doesn't run off of love. We need money also. So if you're able to finance or want to contribute to what we're doing on this show, there are avenues and ways to do that because we feel like we're doing something important in the community. So please support us and fund us and help us move this mission forward.
No Diddy.
No Diddy. You're right.
It has been a wonderful. Thank you for everyone that tuned in and was sharing your definite comments. And I know Joe tuned in tonight. Greg, you gave us a great thumbs up for the show. We really appreciate that. And hey, we want to know that we are helping you or making sense of giving you conversations that start at work or in your neighborhood or whatever. Because until, like Charles said, like we've all said, until we find a way to come together, we will all go down together. One beautiful thing I love about sign language, the sign language for we is this. All inclusive. It means we bring it all in. So if you remember that, if you think about your life all day, you get in front of a mirror, just do this. Just do this all week long. And you think about we. If we can get it together, then we will see the change we need to change. All right. Yeah. We'll see you back. We'll be back here Saturday this coming week. All right. This is just a special night on Sunday. All right. So same time, same next week on what, guys? The truth behind the truth. With that love, guys. See you then. Bye-bye.
Peace.